So my name is Omar Abasad. It's 12:28 p.m., August 10, 2019. So I tweeted a bunch of tweets, and the ones I have reviewed were mine. I'm going to try to attach a picture of myself every time I tweet just to authenticate what's mine and what's not. So I was reading an article in the news today about Epstein being dead, suicided. Um, So, of course, everybody was sort of expecting that. Um, it's no surprise to anybody, given the sensitivity of the material that he released. But one has to wonder, even if he's dead, um, there are lots of other information out there about the people he worked with. So, um, it begs the question, is it going to be the end of it? But anyways, I've been tweeting about possible sex slave operation in the building. And the setup is I am flagged based on lies. Um, and I'm going to start calling names because these names are being called outside the window. I posted some of the videos with the names. Um, Apparently, Gord, after 9/11, flagged me for coming in late and living alone and so on and dating. And he flagged me as a prostitute. And I was being monitored. So, in retrospect, of course, at that point in time, I did not know. In retrospect, looking back, there was this big, tall black man who now I'm learning from comments that I'm being harassed with was living with me, meaning that he was looking at me inside of my home. I was being surveilled inside of my home by this big black man. And everybody knew about it. So he's one of the many people in the building who were taking turns to look at me inside of my home, which is trafficking, which is trafficking. So, and of course, this is now being talked about openly because it would seem that now they can talk openly because it would seem that it's absoluted that I'm a prostitute because now the people who were living with me, quote unquote, remotely, and who were informants working with the cops have accumulated a file that has absoluted that I used to be a prostitute or I am a prostitute or I'm a sexual addict and this file has sexualized me by sworn affidavits, false evidence, contrived evidence, generated evidence, set up using setups, frames, and manipulation of scenes. So this file painted me. So it's absoluted now that I'm a prostitute. So now that that's done, and the only way I know this has been done is because contractors are talking about it outside my window, and some members of my family who's contributed to this file, even though I'm contradicting the contents of the file with these blogs, and I've never been questioned. This file is still floating around, being made public, and is being transferred around to people who are taking me out of the system because apparently everybody or anybody could take me out of the system and create a file about me. So go back to the point. This whole thing can be talked about openly because it's absoluted. So this is how I know that this big black man was on the team back then, and Gord was doing it, and Akhtar was working with Gord. This is how I know because it's been openly talked about. Now that the cops have this file about me, that they could come and mentally commit me, they can put me out of my home and charge me based on the information that they've got. They have enough information on file to justify a warrant for charge or mental evaluation or commitment. So now that the informants and the traffickers covered themselves They can now openly talk about it and openly stalk you, harass you, verbally assault you, and this is all leading up to physical rape, which is initiation into the sex slavery practice, quote unquote practice. Because, of course, I never was one, and of course, I'm not one now. But having people remotely live with me and remotely access me as I sleep in the public's eyes make me one. As I said, as I heard somebody say outside the window, she may as well be a prostitute. To me, she's a prostitute, a whore, because all these men are looking at her naked. And this is the whole idea. The idea is to degrade you, dehumanize you, and to have all these people look at you naked and you have no privacy, take away all your privacy, and in the public's eye, make you into animal status, put you into the animal status. No privacy means that you're an animal. Anybody could remotely access you means that you're an animal. You're subhuman. So now that's openly talked about because there is this file that absolutes everything. That without due process, which is illegal, without interviewing me, with and intentionally suppressing my voice. This is all illegal activity, bypassing the system that the legal system put in place to protect victims' rights. So it's an intentional bypass of this system, which is a conspiracy, which is a conspiracy. So I am being harassed. I'm being threatened with my life. I'm being threatened with rape. I'm being threatened with being killed because I am doing these blogs. Now, the people who are running this program, as Epstein was, and as Epstein did, was recording his victims, his clients. I don't know about victims, but clients, the people he was dealing with. He was recording them to protect himself. Well, the chances are very, very good that everywhere this technology is being used and victims are being accessed, and believe me, I am 100% sure that there are several other people in the building who are being affected this way, especially young girls and kids. Um, the people who are doing this are also recording the people who are accessing their victims to protect themselves, which is why the people are still here. This is protection for, this is job protection, this is physical protection, this is protection from the cops because some dirty cops are actually doing it. But when people start talking, as Epstein's victims started talking, then it all comes out. And it makes no sense to kill off one person because there's going to be a million more people coming out once the ring is exposed. If people's ISP and cell phone records, by people, quote unquote people, they're not really people, these are rapists who are accessing you remotely. If these people ISP and cell phone records are pulled, and the people in the building who are colluding and has taken part in the conspiracy and taken part in the operation of the ring are also using their computers and their cell phones. If these people's cell phone and computer records are pulled, there's all kinds of digital information, excuse me, digital information to be gotten, easily proven. But it's not being investigated, and this is, of course, intentional. An investigation will need for them to pull the evidence and make the evidence public. That's not going to happen. There are very, very rich people involved in this program. I've worked for very, very big corporations, and going back, I mean, I've been working for at least 30 years now. So um, there's a lot of companies involved. And if these companies were taking part in this practice, then there's going to be information out there. And it involves a whole lot of very, very, very like billionaires and professionals, lawyers, doctors, surgeons. So this is nothing surprising. So it seems to be a global crime. It's a global trafficking ring, which is why I heard I'm being monitored globally. Now, for me, my dating extended through the net. It extended outside the country simply because the net allowed you to. I mean, for me, I was looking to get married in my 30s, and I just put an ad in the paper, and I got in an Indian newspaper, which is routine for Indians to put matrimonial ads in newspapers. So I put one in an Indian newspaper, and the Indian newspaper had a circulation in the East that had circulation in some Muslim countries. And Muslim men would call. I never dated a Muslim man, um, but they did call. I heard outside the window that these calls that as I was doing this, somebody tapped my phone. I heard the cops tap my phone and are using that information, these conversations I had with the people that I was genuinely looking for a husband at the time. I was having conversations with these people. They're twisting it and saying, gee, I was calling, I was dealing with Muslim people. Well, no, I never dated a Muslim man. And Badr Nizar is not a friend. Badr Nizar is a predator, a sexual predator, who became a steward because I'm a target and the court allowed him to become a steward, according to what I'm hearing, to defraud me and to enslave me. He's not a friend. I've never dated a Muslim man and I never will date a Muslim man simply because I have absolutely nothing in common with them. It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with belief systems and cultural differences. So there's no terrorist connections here. But I heard that the people who are listening to my conversations and wiretapping me are trying to make it look that way because they are trying to justify the targeting that they are encouraging by putting a flag next to my name. Talk to you another time.